Last Christmas, my family spent about $45 on me. Not each. Combined. I didn't notice it right away. That's the thing about being the dependable one, you get very good at not counting. Before anything else, I need to say this clearly. The story you are about to hear is a fictional work created by the writing team of the channel Revenge Sins, inspired by real-life situations to convey lessons about family, emotion, and human values. All characters and events are illustrative. My name is Emily Lawson. I am in my early 30s, and for years I have been the person in my family who handles things. Birthdays, emergencies, holidays. If something needed to be organized, bought, paid for, smoothed over, I was the one they called. Every Christmas, I spent around $200 per person on my parents and siblings, sometimes more. I told myself it didn't matter. I told myself it was about love, not balance. Last year, after everyone left and the wrapping paper was thrown away, I sat on my couch and lined up what I had received. One candle from a clearance shelf, one photo frame that still had someone else's family smiling inside it, and a single crisp $20 bill from my father, handed to me with, "Get yourself something nice." I did the math later, quietly. I always do things quietly. About $45. That was their total effort. When I mentioned it to my best friend Sarah weeks later, she laughed once and then stopped. "That's not funny," she said. "I know," I told her. She leaned forward. "Emily, that's not normal." I shrugged. "It's just how they are." She didn't argue. She just said, "Sometimes how they are only works because of who you are." That line stayed with me. This year, I decided to count. Not to punish anyone, not to make a point, just to see the truth clearly, without excuses. If you've ever been the generous one, the reliable one, the person everyone assumes will show up, you might want to keep listening. Not because my story is unique, but because it isn't. And if this sounds familiar already, take a moment to stay with me. Stories like this have a way of revealing more than we expect, especially when we stop pretending numbers don't matter. By the time my phone buzzed with the first Christmas request of the season, I already knew something had shifted. The first message came from my sister Lily. No greeting, no small talk, just a link. I was standing in my kitchen when my phone buzzed. I glanced down, expecting a hey or at least my name. Instead, there it was, a shopping link, followed by a single line. Just in case you're shopping already. Taupe. Not black. I stared at the screen longer than I should have. The bag was expensive. Not shocking, Lily had never been subtle about what she wanted. What caught me was how natural it felt to her. As if this wasn't a request at all. As if Christmas shopping for her was already my responsibility. I didn't reply. 5 minutes later, my phone rang. "Andrew." "Hey," he said, already mid-sentence. "I need a favor." I stepped away from my counter and leaned against the wall. "Hi to you too." Yeah. Listen, I'm pretty sure the new console is sold out everywhere, but you're good at finding this stuff." "That stuff." I repeated. "You know what I mean." He said, "I kind of told the guys I'd have it Christmas night. They're coming over." I pictured it instantly. Andrew on the couch, his friends impressed, me invisible. "I'm at work." I said, "Oh, right. Well, just look when you can." He replied, "You always figure it out." There it was. That sentence again. Not a compliment. A contract. "I'll see." I said. "Awesome." He replied, "You're the best." The line went dead before I could respond. I opened my laptop without thinking. Typed in the product name. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, already trained to solve the problem. Then I stopped. I closed the tab. Something about the timing felt wrong. Not just Lily's link. Not just Andrew's call. The assumption beneath both of them that I would handle it. That I always would. My phone buzzed again. A follow-up text from Lily. "Let me know when you order it. It's selling fast." I set my phone face down on the table. For the first time, I didn't feel annoyed or flattered or even guilty. I felt aware, like I had just heard a familiar song and suddenly realized I'd been humming along without ever choosing to. By the end of that afternoon, I hadn't bought a thing, and for the first time in years, that felt like a decision. That night, I pulled the box down from the top shelf of my closet, the one I hadn't opened in years. Inside were old bank statements, folded and sorted by year. I didn't keep them for sentimental reasons. I kept them because I liked knowing where my money went. It made me feel in control. Or at least, that's what I told myself. I spread the statements across my bed and started highlighting. 3 full years were easy. The records were clear, precise. 2 more years were rougher, estimates based on memory and old email confirmations. I said it out loud to the empty room. Even if I'm off by $100, the pattern doesn't change. The numbers added up faster than I expected. Birthdays, Christmases, last-minute shipping because someone told me what they wanted too late, special requests, specific colors, specific brands. I stopped when I reached last December, just over $1,000 for one holiday, 4 people. I sat back and stared at the ceiling for a moment, then got up and walked to the hall closet. I pulled out the bag where I had tossed last year's gifts once the season was over. I hadn't thrown them away. I told myself I might reuse the bags. I laid the items out on the bed beside the statements. The candle from Lily, still faintly scented, still cheap, still carrying the memory of her shrugging and saying, "It smelled nice." The empty space where Andrew's gift should have been. He had promised a gift card to my favorite bookstore. He said he forgot it at home. He said he'd send it later. He never did. The photo frame from my mother, Carol. I turned it over and opened the back. The photo slid out easily. A smiling family I didn't recognize. I remembered her laughing last year when I pointed it out. "Oh, just put your own picture in," she had said. It's still useful. And the $20 bill from my father, Peter, crisp, impersonal, folded once and handed to me while he was already turning away. "Get yourself something nice," he had said. I lined the items up like evidence, not dramatically, methodically. My phone rang. "Sarah, you sound quiet," she said after I answered. "I'm looking at bank statements," I replied. "That sounds ominous." "It's not," I said. Then I corrected myself. "It is." I told her the totals. I told her what I had laid out on my bed. She was silent for a long moment. "Emily," she said carefully, "this isn't you being dramatic." "I know," I replied. The certainty surprised me. "What are you going to do?" she asked. "I don't know yet," I said. "But I'm done pretending this is accidental." She exhaled. "Whatever you do, don't let them tell you this is your fault." I looked down at the candle, the empty space, the frame, the bill. "They won't need to," I said. "They've been doing that for years." When we hung up, I gathered the papers and stacked them neatly. I didn't feel angry. I felt focused. Patterns didn't need to be argued with. They only needed to be acknowledged. I didn't decide to confront anyone. I decided to reflect them. The idea came quietly, without anger. I wasn't interested in shouting or canceling Christmas or making a dramatic announcement. I just wanted the effort to match. Exactly. I drove to the Dollar General off Route 17 after work. I didn't rush. I didn't hesitate either. I picked up a small votive candle first. Chemical vanilla, the kind that smelled strong for 5 minutes and then disappeared. I turned it in my hand and left the price sticker exactly where it was. "For Lily," I said softly. Next was a plastic photo frame. Light, flimsy, a stock photo already inside smiling strangers on a beach, arms around each other like they belonged together. I didn't remove it. For Mom, I grabbed a greeting card with a neutral cover, blank inside. I slipped it into my basket. For Andrew. At the register, the teenage cashier didn't look at me twice. She rang everything up without comment. I paid in cash and left with a bag that weighed almost nothing. I was halfway home when my phone buzzed. "Lily, please don't embarrass me." The message read, "I already told people what you're getting me." I pulled over and read it again. "Not thank you, not checking in. Just a warning." I typed back slowly, still looking. 3 dots appeared almost instantly, then disappeared. A few minutes later, another message came through. "You know how important this is to me." I didn't respond. At home, I laid the items out on my kitchen table, the candle, the frame, the card. They looked small, insignificant. That felt right. I sat down and wrote inside the card in careful cursive, "I owe you." I added a small smiley face at the end, not sarcastic, accurate. My phone rang. Andrew this time. "Hey," he said, sounding cheerful. "Just checking in." "About what?" I replied. "The console." He said, "Craig already took the day off after Christmas. He's excited." "That's nice," I said. There was a pause. "So you're close." "Right. I'm working on it." I told him. "You always do." He said, relieved. "I knew I could count on you." When the call ended, I wrapped each item carefully. Expensive paper, thick ribbon, neat corners. I made them look like something precious. As I placed the wrapped boxes in my closet, I felt something settle in my chest. Not guilt, not excitement, clarity. I wasn't planning a scene. I was preparing a mirror. By the next morning, the assumption had gone public. Lily tagged me in a post I hadn't seen coming, a screenshot of the handbag she wanted, cropped just enough to hide the price, but not the brand. The caption read, "Counting down to Christmas." My sister always knows exactly what I want. The comments filled quickly. "So lucky. Best sister ever." I wish my family did gifts like this. My phone buzzed as if on cue. "Mom," "Sweetheart," Carol said, using the voice she saved for moments like this. "I just saw Lily's post." I stayed quiet. "She's very excited," she continued. "And I just wanted to say, if you're already shopping for something that nice, I'd love something quality too. Nothing crazy. Just something that lasts." I pictured her saying it with a smile, as if she were asking for a favor instead of placing an order. "I'll see what I can do." I said, "I knew you would." She replied warmly, "You've always been the generous one." After we hung up, I sat there longer than necessary, staring at my phone. Generous. The word felt less like praise and more like a job title. That afternoon, an email came from my father. Subject line Christmas. Inside was a short list. Power tools, brands, prices ranging from $70 to just under $300. Any of these would work. He wrote, "Whatever's easiest for you. No question mark. No, please." I forwarded the email to myself and added it to a folder labeled December. That evening, Andrew called again. "Quick update," he said. "Craig invited a couple more people. Just wanted to make sure it's happening." "Make sure what's happening?" I asked. "The console," he said. "I told them you were handling it." I let the silence stretch. "Well," he added, laughing lightly, "I mean, you always do." I ended the call without agreeing to anything. That night, I took the wrapped gifts out of my closet and set them on the table. I lined them up and stared at them longer than I meant to. I thought about unwrapping them, returning everything, buying what was expected, letting Christmas pass the way it always had. My phone buzzed again. A message from Lily. "Please don't make this weird." She wrote, "Everyone already thinks you're getting it for me." I read it twice. I set the phone down and picked up the candle. I turned it slowly in my hands, feeling the smooth glass, the stubborn price sticker. I thought about the frame, the card, the bill folded once. I put the candle back in its wrapping. When I went to bed that night, I didn't feel excited. I didn't feel nervous. I felt resolved. By the time Christmas morning arrived, the expectations were no longer theirs alone. They were mine to manage. I arrived at my parents' house just after breakfast. Mom opened the door with a smile that felt practiced. "There you are," Carol said. We were starting to worry. "I'm right on time," I replied. She glanced down at the 4 boxes in my arms, each wrapped carefully in thick paper and tied with ribbon. Her smile widened. "Just slightly." "Those look beautiful," she said. "You always do such a nice job." Dad was already in the living room. Peter looked up from his coffee when he saw me. "Morning," he said. His eyes followed the boxes as I set them beneath the tree. "You bring everything." "Yes," I said. Lily was on the couch, scrolling through her phone. She didn't look up at first. "Finally," she said, then glanced over and smiled. "I've been dying all morning." Andrew leaned back in the recliner, hands behind his head. "Man, it feels like Christmas when you show up," he said. "You always save the day." I didn't respond. Mom gestured toward the kitchen. "We're doing breakfast first. You didn't eat already, did you?" "No," I said. We sat around the table, going through the motions. Lily talked about a party she had been invited to after Christmas. Andrew complained about traffic. Dad nodded along to the conversation without adding much. At one point, Lily turned her phone toward Mom. Karen got a bracelet from her boyfriend. She said, "Isn't it gorgeous?" Mom leaned in. "Very nice." Lily looked at me then, smiling. I told her what you got me. She's jealous. I lifted my mug and took a sip. "That's great," I said. When breakfast ended, Mom clapped her hands lightly. "All right," she said. "Presents." She knelt by the tree and began handing them out. When she reached mine, she paused. "Oh," she said. "Yours is right here." She handed me a small gift bag. One bag. From all of them, I took it and set it beside me without opening it. Then Lily reached for the first box with her name on it, the one wrapped in gold paper with the velvet ribbon. "This one's mine," she said, already pulling it close. I knew it. I sat back and watched as she started to untie the bow. For the first time that morning, no one was talking. Lily tore into the wrapping like it was already hers. The ribbon slid off the box and fell to the floor. She didn't even look at it. "Oh my gosh," she said, shaking the box once. "It's light. It has to be the bag." Mom smiled at her, pleased. Dad watched with that distant look he got when anything emotional happened. Andrew leaned forward, suddenly interested. Lily lifted the lid and froze. She stared down at the candle sitting in plain tissue paper, the price sticker still on the glass. Her mouth opened, then closed. For a second, she actually laughed one short burst like her brain was trying to save her from what she was seeing. "Okay," she said, voice high. "Where's the real present?" "That is the real present," I said. The laughter vanished. Lily's eyes snapped up to mine. "No, stop." "Emily, seriously, it's a candle," I said evenly. "A small one. Same concept as last year." Her face hardened. "I gave you a candle because you like candles." I kept my voice calm. It had a clearance sticker on it. Mom's smile faltered. Emily Lily held the candle like it was something dirty. "This is so mean." "You know what I asked for." "I know," I said. "You made that very clear." Andrew let out a low whistle. "Wow." Mom reached for the next box quickly, like she could outrun the moment. "Let's just keep going," she said, brightness forced. "I'll open mine." She picked up the box with her name on it and started unwrapping carefully, smoothing the paper as she went, folding it in neat squares. "Mom!" Lily snapped. "Are you seeing this, sweetheart?" Mom said, still focused on the bow. "We're not doing this right now." She opened the lid, peeled back the tissue paper, and lifted out the photo frame. The stock photo family smiled up at her. White teeth, arms linked. Perfect beach lighting. The picture was still sealed in the plastic. Mom stared at it for a long beat. Her hands tightened around the frame. "Why?" she said quietly. "Are there strangers in this?" "You can put your own picture in," I replied, keeping my tone gentle. "That's what you told me." Mom looked up slowly. Something flickered across her face. Recognition, then embarrassment, then anger trying to cover it. "That was different," she said. Dad's head turned sharply toward her. Different how Mom's cheeks flushed. "Peter, don't." "Different how?" Dad repeated, louder. Mom swallowed. "I didn't realize you gave her a used frame," Dad said, voice flat. Lily scoffed. "Can we not act like that's the same thing as a handbag?" Andrew grabbed his gift before Mom could answer. He ripped into the paper without looking, like he wanted to get ahead of whatever this was. He opened the greeting card and pulled out the slip of paper inside. His eyes scanned it once, twice. His face went red. He held it up between two fingers like it might infect him. "What is this?" "It's an I owe you," I said, with a smiley face. Andrew's voice sharpened. "Where's the console?" "I didn't get it," I replied. He blinked hard, like he hadn't heard me correctly. "You didn't get it." "No," I said. His jaw tightened. "Emily, Craig is coming over tonight." "I know," I said. "You told me." Multiple times. Andrew stood up so fast the recliner shifted behind him. So what am I supposed to tell him? That my sister decided to be petty on Christmas? I met his eyes. Tell him you promised something before you actually had it. Lily's candle hit the coffee table with a loud thud. "This is unreal," she said. "You are actually doing this." Mom's eyes were wet now, but her voice was steady. "Emily, this is cruel. It's accurate," I said. Dad's gaze moved from Mom's frame to Lily's candle to Andrew's paper. He looked like he wanted to rewind the last 5 minutes. I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out a crisp $20 bill. I walked over to him and held it out. "Merry Christmas." "Dad," I said. "Get yourself something nice." He took it automatically. His fingers closed around it like reflex. He stared at the bill, then at me. "What is this?" "It's what you give me," I said. "Every year." Dad's mouth tightened. "That's not true." "It is," I replied. One $20 bill, handed to me like an afterthought. Mom's tears spilled over. "Stop," she whispered. Lily's voice rose. "So you've been keeping score?" Andrew laughed without humor. "Of course she has. She always has to be right." I didn't raise my voice. I kept track because I needed to know whether I was imagining it. Mom turned toward me, shoulders tense. "You make everything about money." "No," I said. "You make everything about what you can get." The room went silent in the way it does right before a storm. The air felt heavier, like everyone had been holding their breath without realizing it. Lily's eyes were bright with anger. "You're embarrassing us." "I didn't post a handbag online and tag myself in it," I said. She flinched, not because it hurt her feelings, because it was true. Dad held the bill like he wanted to crush it. "I didn't raise you to disrespect me in my own house." Mom wiped her cheeks and straightened her back, as if she could posture her way out of this. "This is why people struggle with you," she said, each word precise. "You always have to turn it into a lesson. You always have to make someone the villain." I nodded once. "I'm not making anyone the villain." Andrew pointed at the paper in his hand. "Then what is this supposed to be?" I looked at all of them, one by one. "It's what you gave me," I said. I just wrapped it better. I didn't say anything while they talked over one another. Lily pacing, Andrew muttering, Mom crying in short, sharp breaths, Dad standing stiffly by the chair, still holding the $20 bill like it had offended him. I waited until the noise thinned out on its own. Then I reached into my bag and pulled out the papers. "What is that?" Andrew said immediately. I didn't answer him. I walked to the coffee table and set the stack down carefully, smoothing the edges with my palm. The pages were clean, neatly printed, no highlighting in red, no dramatic labels. Mom sniffed. Emily, we're not doing paperwork on Christmas? I'm not doing paperwork, I said. I'm answering a question. Dad crossed his arms. No one asked you for this. Lily scoffed. This is unhinged. I looked at her. You asked who keeps score. I tapped the top page. This is who... The room went quiet again, but this time it felt different. They were watching. These are Christmas gifts from the past 5 years, I said. What I gave, what I received. 3 years are exact. 2 are estimates. I wrote that clearly at the top. Andrew glanced down despite himself. Mom leaned forward slowly. Dad didn't move. I'm not claiming perfection. I continued. If I'm off by $100 here or there, it doesn't change the pattern. Lily crossed her arms tighter. This is sick. I spent about $4,600 on the 4 of you over 5 years. I said, my voice didn't shake. You spent just under $60 on me. Mom shook her head. That can't be right. It is, I said. I counted generously. Andrew laughed once. You're actually saying we owe you. I'm saying this wasn't accidental. Dad finally stepped closer and looked down at the page. His jaw clenched. You gave me one $20 bill every year, I said to him. Same amount, same phrase. Get yourself something nice. That's not fair, he said. It's consistent, I replied. Mom pressed her hand to her chest. You never said anything. I did. I said, just not out loud. Lily shook her head. So this is revenge? No, I said. This is recognition. Andrew pointed to one of the lines. You really wrote down that I forgot your gift card. Yes, I said, because you forgot it. Mom looked at me then. Really looked. So what? You want an apology? I shook my head. I don't want anything from you. She blinked. Then why do this? I straightened, feeling something settle in my shoulders. I came here to stop punishing myself. I said, I came here because I needed you to see it once. Clearly. Dad exhaled sharply. You could have handled this differently. I handled it the way I was taught. I said, quietly, neatly, with receipts. Mom's voice dropped. If you walk out now, don't bother coming back. I paused, hand resting on the edge of the table. I didn't come here to threaten you, I said, and I'm not threatening myself anymore. I picked up my coat. The spreadsheet stayed where it was. I left before anyone stopped me. The cold hit my face as soon as the door closed behind me, sharp and honest. I sat in my car for a moment with my hands on the steering wheel, waiting for the familiar wave of guilt to arrive. It didn't. What came instead was stillness. By the time I got home, my phone was already lighting up. Lily texted first. You're unbelievable. Andrew followed. Hope you're proud of yourself. Mom called 3 times. She didn't leave a message. Dad sent an email an hour later. 1 sentence. Your mother is very upset. This didn't need to happen. I read it once and archived it. The next message surprised me. Sarah, are you okay? She asked. I am, I said, and meant it. She didn't ask for details. She just replied, Good. Come over later. We have too much food. I spent Christmas afternoon at her place, sitting at a crowded table where no one asked what I brought or what I spent. Her mom hugged me when I arrived and said, Sometimes you need a quiet seat to hear yourself think. No one mentioned my family. No one needed to. The messages slowed over the next few days. Accusations gave way to silence. A week later, I received a text from my Aunt Joanne. I don't know everything, she wrote, but I know enough to say this you didn't imagine it. We met for coffee after the new year. She listened without interrupting and nodded once when I finished. Patterns don't lie, she said. People do. Almost a year passed. I saw my parents occasionally. Polite dinners, careful conversation. Lily and Andrew faded into the background of my life without any dramatic announcement. This Christmas, I was in a small cabin in Estes Park with Sarah and her family. Snow outside, no gift exchange, just handwritten notes on the table. Sarah slid one toward me. Inside, she had written, "Thank you for choosing yourself." My phone buzzed once that evening. A message from Dad. "Your mother wants to know what you'd like this year." I looked at the screen, then turned it face down. If this story felt familiar at any point, if you recognized yourself in the role of the giver, the fixer, the one who always shows up, stay with that feeling. Stories like this exist because so many people carry them quietly. I poured myself another cup of coffee and joined the conversation again, lighter than I had been in years.